Look at all this green. Like the markets right now in crypto. The signs of the bull market are finally showing their horns, but to make sure that you don't get gored to the stomach, you still need to do your own research. You might be out of school, but the necessity is still here, and we're gonna help you do that to save you time and headache with our new DePIN Hub Verified program. And we're gonna talk about that today on this newsletter recap. Well, hello! Today I'm quite excited to tell you about a brand new initiative we've been cooking up in the background for the past couple months at DePIN Hub. So as the markets start to get hot and more projects pour in, it's getting a bit harder to actually navigate and determine what is or is not a healthy investment, whether that's financially or through your time, energy, and resources. So we've launched something called the Verified program to help you with just that, to save you time and de-risk you and allow you a little more peace of mind in this wild adventure known as DePIN. And you can interact with that on our website. Now you'll see a purple badge. But before we get into the Verified program, which is the feature of this episode of the DePIN Hub newsletter recap, let's check what was happening in the greater ecosystem, going back to our friends at Huddle01. Whoa! Huddle01 node sale, which is now officially live. You can take part in it and use our code DePINHub10. It will be in the description of this episode of the recap to get 10% off your node purchases. So, in case you were wondering, Huddle01 already has recorded over 7 million minutes of streaming video content on their decentralized version of Zoom with over 40,000 users. And if you buy into their node sale at Tier 1, you'll spend a little over 0.1 ETH, yet have the chance to turn that into potentially $18,000 of earnings by running that node or accepting delegations. And there are many solutions out there, by the way, to remove some of the technical burden. You don't have to be a DevOps engineer. Oh, and by the way, DePIN Hub might be dropping one of those solutions very soon. So stay tuned. Now, let's zoom out even more and check what's happening in the news. So our friends at Streamer published insights about the new Data Act in the EU. So the EU is ushering in a new, more controlled, yet consumer-friendly digital ecosystem. The goal with the Data Act is to break down silos, harmonizing rules for fair access to and usage of data across the EU. Is this a good thing or a bad thing for DePIN? Well, I guess we'll find out, but you can read more about it on Streamer's blog. World Mobile, one of the OGs in the DY space, starting in the continent of Africa and now expanding across the world, has dropped some updates on their next AirNode sale, which kicked off on November 12th. Batch 2, Drop 3. So World Mobile is building a powerful DY solution that includes their own spectrum with a major focus on bridging the connectivity gap, especially in emerging markets such as Pakistan. So check out their AirNode sale. Now, ladies and gentlemen, moving into the feature of this issue, DePIN Hub's Verified program. So if you come to the DePINHub.io website, and I assume you're already doing that, and if you're not, shame on you. DePINHub.io/verified, you can read all about our Verified program, which I am going to try to summarize to you right now. So before I jump into the meat of it, let's give a little bit of background here. What's going on? Well, we had our virtual event, DePIN Revolution, back in August. There was over 2,500 people that signed up. We ran a survey afterwards, and we realized that the #1 most requested feature on DePIN Hub was an improved way to help identify good projects to invest into, or some sort of due diligence system. So we listen here at DePIN Hub, and we've worked on an initiative just for that. And it makes a lot of sense when you take into account that DePIN's growing at a crazy clip. So we have around 160, 170 projects on DePIN Hub right now. Might be more by the time you see this. However, there's other research firms that have said there's already over 650 DePIN projects in the market, and we've seen VCs post on certain websites over 1,400. So that's a huge gap, 2, 3, 4x gap. Meanwhile, market caps, we've seen ranges from 20 billion to 40 billion. And of course, a lot of revenue that's being generated by these projects is completely off chain as of this moment. So it's also a bit hard to say who's doing what is the value, who's a legit DePIN, who's not.
I understand nothing.
And as the space heats up and people start FOMOing, it's important that you know what you're potentially FOMOing into and maybe shouldn't be FOMOing into. We also have noticed more and more projects in the crypto space kind of trend jacking that DePIN term as it helps them fundraise, right? All you have to say is RWA, refi, decentralized AI, DePIN, and boom, you hit all the buzzwords. But does that mean you're really following the decentralized physical infrastructure ethos? Perhaps not. Is there a distributed OpEx model that you're optimizing for? Are you using crowdsourced resources to build out infrastructure that otherwise could cost billions or trillions of dollars? Let's see. So that is a little bit of the background. Now, of course, if you're a noob in the space, this is even more important because you probably struggle already to differentiate some of the OGs from the newer projects. But even if you're a professional grade deployer and you see some of these new projects coming out, it can also be hard for you, and it's far more risky if you're looking to potentially purchase thousands of nodes and build a business out of it. Same thing if you might be a distributor. If you're looking to build a new business line where you're assembling, sending, and supporting this hardware, you need to know what you're getting into. Of course, you have tools at your disposal already, Discords and other communities, but these are also full of memes and a lot of shilling. You can find some research articles out on the internet, but sometimes they're out of date and sometimes they were paid for by the projects themselves. Now, a lot of these projects are also pre-token and have so many real-world variables that traditional crypto metrics that you might see on data aggregators, where you're usually looking at things like TVL, FDV, etc., might not really show you the full picture. So what this is really about is a means of increasing that trust and reliability in the ecosystem to help you feel more comfortable with what you're getting into, and at the same time help the space drive towards some level of best practices, or at least basic standards. So now that you understand a bit about the background of what drove us to launch this initiative, let's jump into it and actually understand the verified project framework. So basically, when we're verifying a project, we use a simple scoring system of points. So 75 or more out of 100, 100 is the max, will get you the verified badge on DePIN Hub. And in a little bit, we're going to show you exactly how you can interact with this feature on the DePIN Hub platform itself. But before we get into that, let's talk a little bit more about this framework. So when we're assessing projects, we look for some critical components that we believe everyone who wants to be active in DePIN should look into. So some of those, I'm not going to jump into every detail, but to give you a high level, first and foremost is problem solution fit. What is the problem that these projects are actually trying to solve? Are they just trying to launch a token for the sake of having a token? Or is there a genuine market problem that they can solve better through a DePIN model? And where is that product market fit? Competition. Are you aware of your competitors not only in Web 3, but also those legacy competitors in Web 2? Revenue model. Is your project currently generating revenue? If yes, can you provide some proof points, maybe some currently paying clients? Is that revenue recorded on chain? But we go even harder than that. I'm actually looking at one of the questions right here, and it asks, what is your strategy to generate 100 million in external demand side revenue? And please outline some key milestones required to reach that goal. So we're really requiring these projects to think ahead, to think big, and to actually show that they've taken some time to map out how to get there. Meanwhile, we even ask, if you can reach that 100 million in revenue, how much of that can be returned to token holders and what mechanisms are there to ensure that? We also just look at general things like DePIN relevancy. What is the 10x benefit of going to market using a decentralized DePIN model as opposed to doing it the traditional way? If you have hardware, we have specific questions around the hardware, such as the responsibility for hardware deployment and maintenance. Is it truly distributed amongst the node operators? And things that are a little bit more technical, like how many active supply side nodes are running currently? And then we also look at things around the actual procurement, because we've all struggled, or at least if you've been in the space for a bit, with seeing that project heating up, trying to get your hands on that hardware so you can start mining and not having it readily available due to supply chain shortages, issues with manufacturing, etc. So how decentralized is it? How easy is it to procure? Then we go into some stuff that's a little bit more traditional, such as funding. Are you venture-backed? Are you bootstrapped? Have you done something like an ICO or an IDO? We look at market recognition. Has your project received any endorsements from notable industry participants or organizations? Again, going back to the roadmap, we'll also look at some of your technical roadmap and key milestones. And then, of course, very relevant to people in the crypto community, tokenomics. Digging a little bit into the tokenomics model, including stakeholder distribution, vesting schedules, and emission forecasts. And then one often overlooked point that's critical, especially as projects mature, is governance. What is your current governance structure? Is it centralized? Okay, but do you have plans to change that in the future, such as transitioning to a DAO, or decentralized autonomous organization? And last but not least, we ask for some supporting documentation that can also help with the due diligence. So as you can see, it's a pretty comprehensive process. Now, what does it mean to you and how can you use it? First and foremost, just look for the purple badge on certain projects' widgets. If you go to the homepage right away, you'll see if you scroll just a little bit down, we have something called Recently Verified, and you can actually see which projects have the badge. If you open those projects' listing pages, those dedicated pages on DePIN Hub, where you can do your kind of deep dive research about the projects themselves, you'll also see a big badge right there next to the project name. If you hover over it with your mouse, you'll see a tooltip explaining again what it is. And if you click the link, you'll go to our dedicated verified page where you can learn more about what this program is about. And if you go to the projects tab, which is where most people start their journey kind of navigating through what's out there in the world of DePIN, you'll also notice that now verified projects automatically sort to the top. So you'll always see them first and foremost. We want to give them the love that we believe they deserve, as they often have the most signs of traction and maturity in the market and have taken the time to be transparent and to also share this data with us and the community. Now, for all you DePINs out there, so if you're a DePIN project itself, if you want to get involved in the program, you can visit our Gitbook. We have links to it at depinhub.io/verified, where you can click Learn More and actually open up the Gitbook. That'll tell you all about how to get involved. There's an interest form. All you have to do is submit the interest form, and someone from our team will reach out to explain the details to you. Now, besides enjoying enhanced visibility on the DePIN Hub platform, we're also going to be doing work on the partnership side to try to grow adoption of this standard outside of just the DePIN Hub platform. So think about other data aggregators, potentially DEXs, SEXs, etc., that can also be referring back to this badge to make it something that's greater than just DePIN Hub, so that you as a project can get the recognition you deserve beyond just our platform, and that the community can find you and better be informed on what is a potentially healthy project to invest into. Now, we like to be transparent at DePIN Hub. The whole point of this initiative is transparency, so we're not trying to hide anything. There is a small cost involved in being part of the verified program, but we've done our best to make it very reasonable and accessible to any size of DePIN project. On top of that, projects will only pay half of that to actually do the entire assessment and will not be charged the other portion unless they pass. This is primarily because it takes our team a considerable amount of time, not only to launch and maintain the feature, but to actually run the entire assessments themselves. So that basically wraps it up, ladies and gentlemen. What we also want to drive home is that this isn't just about us. First and foremost, we work together with various VCs and experts in the industry, including analysts from various exchanges. And our product manager, who kind of led this entire initiative, is a former auditor at PwC. We also bounce the idea around with various project founders to arrive at something in the end that we think is fair, simple yet comprehensive for everybody. And going forward, we don't want this all to be in a black box. We plan to find more and more ways to open it up to you and the community to get your feedback, so you can also give us advice at certain things that you might want to look for. We might even open it up so that, of course, we can't reveal the information in the actual due diligence, but where you can see the actual score, so you have a basic idea of understanding which project scored high where. That is soon to come, but let's at least get the dialogue flowing. If you have your own ideas about what criteria to look for in a healthy DePIN project, feel free to share it in the description of this video or join our Telegram group and share things there. That basically wraps it up, ladies and gentlemen. That is the feature of this issue, Hotspotty, DePIN Hub's verified program. Look out for the verified badge on DePIN Hub. Right now, we have 3 projects there at the time of recording of this video, but we plan to have many more soon. And if you're a DePIN project out there, feel free to get in touch. You can, again, go to our verified page and click the link to submit the interest form. So don't forget to do your research. Do your homework, ladies and gentlemen, like your teachers used to say, because if not, that green could end up being red. And I'm not talking about NFL two-time champion, Kansas City red. I'm talking about your bags bleeding red, and you don't want that. Kansas City doesn't want that. No, nobody wants that. Now, before we wrap things up, let's recap what happened last week on the DePIN Hub podcast. This last episode was a good one, ladies and gentlemen. We had Kai Warzenek, sorry if I'm saying that wrong, the founder of Impossible Cloud Network, on the pod. And this one was done together with both founders of Hotspotty, Daniel Andrade and Maxime Goosens. So Impossible Cloud Network is setting new standards in data storage and backup, and that's just the beginning. They have a vision to create a decentralized alternative to AWS. So learn about this awesome David versus Goliath story in this episode of the podcast. Plus, Kai, their founder, very interesting guy, founded a gaming company, grew it to over 1,000 plus employees, and listed it on the NASDAQ. So trust me, he knows what he's talking about. So check out the pod, show Daniel and Max some love. So ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap. Until next time, DePIN Revolutionaries, stay decentralized.